The pandemic messed up our kids, y'all. Not irrevocably. These things can be fixed, but in a lot of subtle, malicious, and damaging ways that went unnoticed and untalked about, unaddressed for the last few years. We have had a major failing in the health of our children. There's a post going viral right now about teachers, principals, counselors wondering why there's been so many behavioral issues in kids the last few years and why the academics are sliding so far than they normally do. And the viral response was the pandemic. The pandemic. These kids all suffered a collective trauma in multifaceted issues that we are not addressing. And now we're seeing part of the results of that. I'm a teacher. I did leave the public classroom a few years ago because I saw the writing on the wall and I didn't want to work for the government of Texas in any capacity whatsoever. And I have spent the last few years teaching kids about tabletop role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons, how to play those games, and I run the games for them. And I've had a couple groups with me for a few years now, which is pretty awesome. And I outsourced this question to some of them, asked them their perspectives on it. And to generalize here, what I came away with, the big thing and the heartbreaking thing for me is we have lost their trust. These kids, this generation, Gen Z, has no faith in adults. And I'm talking about the automatic general the general feeling as a child that adults have it together, they at least know how things work, that someone will at least attempt to fix a problem. Yeah, we lost all that with these kids because for several years, these kids watched all of us just completely lose the plot during the pandemic. At this crisis where we had clear instructions on how to keep ourselves safe and how to keep other people safe, we had efforts to try and make society work in a slightly different way so we could survive this, and we just could not handle it at all. The United States response to the pandemic was an utter failure. It was a failure of the highest magnitude. And one of those major ways we failed, we, beyond just thinking of the physical safety of our children, which we still didn't do very well at all. Hey, turns out kids were vectors for COVID the whole time. Awesome. We also didn't think about their mental health. We didn't think about their emotional health. We didn't think about how they would perceive the world after this, how they would perceive the world after watching adults fall down alt-right pipelines, fall for conspiracy theories, buy out all the horse dewormer in the country. They watched as adults made Joe Rogan rich. They watched as adults who were given an opportunity to be heroic and selfless on a platter. All you had to do was social distance, order your groceries online, wear a mask. If you had to go to work, if you had to have childcare, we had these little measures to say, look, you can at least do this, not just for yourself, but to save another person's life. And as these kids watched family members get sick and pass because of all of this, they also watched adults take that golden opportunity to be selfless and just frisbee that motherfucker across the planet. And that has affected them. They do not have faith in us anymore. They do not believe in adults anymore. And I'm not saying that they can all do it on their own. Losing this bit of education, losing these opportunities is going to affect them in really, really bad ways. We need our kids to grow up and have good media literacy. We need them to be critical and analytical thinkers. We need them above everything to be empathetic and kind. And we passed them right through that fire, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and did not give them any guidance on how to navigate this. How do we regain the trust of these kids? How do we regain their faith in us? It's not all lost, but I think the next big crises as they unfold, we can't just be thinking, how do we keep people safe physically? We need to be thinking, how do we keep our humanity? Because it doesn't just affect the adults. The kids are going through it too, and they are internalizing everything we show them.